Hello. Now we know a little about external microphones and how they can be a benefit to us, I want to talk about accessories we might find useful for them. Apart from claws to hold the microphones in and stands to mount them on, the number one accessory we need for any microphone is a windshield.
Windshields are available in all manner of shapes, sizes, colours and materials, but they are designed to perform the same basic task: to reduce the effects of wind noise. A basic foam windshield, the sort that is sometimes included when you purchase a microphone, is the first line of defence against wind noise, and you should be able to reduce the volume of wind noise by about half, or maybe more if you are lucky.
However, the foam windshield also has another less obvious use. When using a microphone outdoors, or for commentary or interview work, the foam windshield helps to keep the microphone and its delicate diaphragm clean and hygienic, and for this reason I would recommend using at least a foam windshield at all times, unless for some reason it is aesthetically unsuitable. Outside, although you might think it's not very windy, even the slightest breeze can wreak havoc with the microphone's diaphragm and cause the thunderous roar of wind noise we are all familiar with. Using an additional faux fur wind gag or wind sock over the top of the foam windshield can help further reduce the volume of wind noise by at least half as much again, if not more. This means wind noise should appear at least 4 times quieter than it would do if you didn't use any kind of windshield at all. Let's go outside. Oh dear. Doesn't appear to be very windy at all today, but I've got an idea. Here in my workshop, I hope to be able to demonstrate how effective a windshield can be on a microphone, using a very non-traditional technique.
I'm going to show just one of the microphones, a super cardioid, without a windshield, with a basic foam windshield fitted, and finally with a foam windshield and furry windsock fitted. The recording will be made on a handheld sound recorder, and the recording level won't be altered between each test, so we should be able to see and hear how much difference each additional windshield makes. Let's start without any windshield. The high fan speed causes a rise in the amount of wind noise up to the maximum level set on the sound recorder. As you can hear, the wind noise makes this audio track unusable. OK, now we'll try the basic foam windshield that came supplied with the microphone. The highest fan speed causes a rise in the volume of wind noise, but the level is registering at around -20 decibels, which makes the wind noise 4 times quieter than it was without the windshield. That's surprisingly good for a piece of foam. Now we'll add a furry windsock on top of the foam windshield. At maximum fan speed, the recorded wind noise is registering at around -30 decibels, which is 8 times quieter than it was without using any windshield at all. Now we can hear the sound of the actual fan itself, without it being obliterated by the thunder of the breeze it is creating.
But what about the microphone that we always have with us, the one on our camcorder?
Oh, hang on a minute. We don't have a foam windshield fitted to our camcorders.
So is there anything we can do about this? Of course there is. If we're lucky, we might be able to find an expensive windshield kit for our model of camcorder, or we can make our own for around about a £5. Here's one I made earlier.
All I needed was my camcorder, an old foam windshield, some double-sided sticky tape, a pair of scissors, and a small section of faux fur that I obtained as a sample through eBay, but which I could have ordered from some craft shops. Firstly, I cut some lengths of double-sided sticky tape and laid the pieces around the camcorder's built-in microphone, making sure there were no gaps in between them. Then I cut up the foam windshield and trimmed it so that it fitted on top of the adhesive strips. I pushed it down firmly to ensure there were no gaps between it and the adhesive tape. I needed to make sure air couldn't travel underneath the foam and cause problems with wind noise. Then I cut a piece of the faux fur so that it fully covered the foam windshield and fitted around the contours of the camcorder body, but made sure it didn't obstruct any sockets I might need to use or appear in front of the lens. I cut some more strips of double-sided sticky tape and stuck them where I wanted to fix the piece of fur, before pushing it down firmly, again making sure there were no gaps or holes where fast-moving air could enter and cause wind noise problems. I then gave the faux fur a haircut to reduce some of the longer strands and tidy it up a little. Hey presto, I had made myself a double-layered windshield for my camcorder for next to nothing.
Okay, so it looks a little weird, but does it actually work? Let's find out.
Here is the camcorder with both the foam windshield and faux fur fabric removed, and it can be seen and heard that the wind noise is appalling, which is to be expected. Here is the test again, using the homemade windshield. Although the reduction in wind noise is not as great as expensive purpose-designed windsocks, it has still been reduced by as much as 20 decibels. In other words, it's almost 4 times quieter than it was before I coupled together my windshield.
But would we really be seen with our camcorders fitted with something that looks like a bad toupee? Well, that's up to you as individuals, of course, but personally speaking, it wouldn't bother me at all. If I had a choice between a camcorder suffering from alopecia or a reduction in wind noise on my once-in-a-lifetime footage, I know which one I'd choose every time. And if you want to remove the windshield, just pull off the fur and foam and peel off the double-sided sticky tape. Of course, now we have a microphone, with or without a windshield, we need something to put it in. Microphone claws come in all shapes and sizes and can cost anything from a couple of pounds upwards.
A basic microphone claw is a simple solid plastic affair that holds the microphone in the direction and at the angle you want to point it. Some basic claws have a hot shoe mount, as this one does, which means they can be fixed to the top of a camcorder or a camera bracket if they are also equipped with a hot shoe mount. Some solid plastic claws are also ergonomically shaped to be gripped by hand.
However, the basic solid plastic microphone claw, whilst effective enough for general use, offers no isolation from any knocks and bangs it might receive through rough handling of the camcorder, or in the case of a microphone stand, vibrations transmitted from the floor. In those situations, we should use what is known as a shock mount.
Shock mounts vary greatly in effectiveness and price. Cheaper ones, such as this, offer very little extra isolation over a solid plastic microphone claw. Shock mounts that use rubber rings to suspend the microphone away from the rest of the stand are more effective. For ultimate isolation, a rubber or elasticated suspension, such as this professional shock mount, are most effective, and these can often be found in recording studios and on movie studio sets. They can be quite expensive and are comparatively heavy, something to be borne in mind if considering using one on a camcorder or on the end of a long handheld boom pole for any length of time.
Okay, we now have a microphone, a windshield, and a claw or shock mount to put it in, but we still need something to put it on. And the most obvious item we need is a microphone stand. However, microphone stands can be expensive for a good quality version, and any purchases are likely to see very little use. So is it worth buying one? No. Because luckily for us, help comes in the form of a 170-year-old idea.
Here is a professional microphone stand, and the thread on top of it matches the thread of most microphone claws and shock mounts. For the boys amongst you, this thread is a 5/8 inch British Standard Whitworth. However, we can unscrew the top of the microphone stand to reveal a 3/8 inch British Standard Whitworth, so this part is simply a thread adapter. Almost all camcorder and still camera tripods we are likely to come across have this thread, a 1/4 inch, yes, you guessed it, British Standard Whitworth. Therefore, if we can find a thread adapter to convert this to this, and we already have an adapter to convert this to this, that means we can mount this on this.
Suddenly, we don't need a dedicated microphone stand anymore, and we can simply beg, steal or borrow a camcorder tripod from our fellow movie makers. They are far more likely to have a tripod gathering dust in a corner somewhere than a microphone stand. Camera tripods are generally more versatile too. You can collapse them down to a low level or raise them to head height to give you different microphone placement options. Camcorder tripods are also available in tabletop size to give you even more versatility. Here are some other useful items available to us.
A table clamp. A clamp that can be used on a vertical pole, such as a tripod or chair or table leg. And an item called a gooseneck, for obvious reasons, that allows the microphone to be twisted in any direction we want. And of course, a small tabletop tripod.
An accessory we can sometimes find use for, especially in drama productions, but also sometimes for interview work, is a boom pole. Essentially, this is a long pole with a microphone mounted at one end, which can be lifted above or below the sound we want to record and remain out of shot of the camcorder. Because boom poles are usually handheld by a member of the movie production crew, the microphone can follow the sound if it happens to be moving. A commentator walking along a path or across a room, for example. Unfortunately, a professional or semi-professional boom pole can leave you with very little change from £100, which doesn't make one top of any Christmas list of movie makers on a tight budget, especially if it might see only occasional use. I'm off to do some more DIY.
Okay, maybe not that kind of DIY, but this paint roller extension is just what I'm looking for.
The hole in the end piece just happens to accept a 1/4 inch British Standard Whitworth screw, which I've clamped securely in place. I can then use the thread adapters to fix a microphone shock mount on the end piece and screw this onto the paint roller extension. I've also secured part of a keyring to the pole, and I can use this to attach a safety chain should I feel slightly anxious about dangling an expensive microphone several feet above solid ground.
So now my paint roller extension has become a telescopic microphone boom pole for about 1/10 of the cost of a professional one. Let's go and see if it works.
Here I am rigging up my homemade boom pole with a super cardioid microphone and full windshield kit, connected via an extension cable to a separate sound recorder mounted on a clamp further down the pole. A pair of closed-back headphones allows me to monitor the sounds captured by the microphone and recorded on the sound recorder. This setup makes the boom pole and operator truly mobile without having to worry about long cables stretching between the microphone and the camcorder.
But there's something else you can use the boom pole for, if you're brave enough, or foolish enough.
Because the boom pole has a 1/4 inch British Standard Whitworth thread on the end of it, we can use this to mount a camcorder. This makes the boom pole in effect a ridiculously tall monopod. We can use this to poke our camcorder in places we wouldn't normally be able to. For example, over bridges. Or even over the top of water.
But that is for another day.